From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's get right to it this morning, live from the heartland in the shadow of Detroit. Very cold. It's 0. It's a frigid day here, kicking off on the brand new day on the Steve Gruber Show, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? Now more than ever, you need to figure that out. A lot of work to do, so let's get to it. 3 big things this hour. Number 1, the Democrats, led by the likes of Hakeem Jeffries, have now admitted their entire campaign this year is they will prosecute everyone in the Trump administration and attack the Supreme Court. Yeah, I've got that coming up. Number 2, the upheaval in Minneapolis has gone so far that former disgraced CNN anchor Don Lemon, among those that stormed a church there to intimidate the congregation on Sunday. I'm not sure they understand how bad this looks. And number 3, speaking of that, the Democrats have no moral compass. They lie, they fail, and then they blame everyone else around them. When Trump succeeds, they attack, even when they're attacking their own policies. The internet's great because Democrats can try to obfuscate and blame everything on Trump, but all it takes is a quick internet search to remember all the lies that leaders like Barack Obama told us. For instance, on Obamacare, I just want to remind people again and again as I go to the vault. Here's a quick summary of all the promises made and then broken. Listen.
It will actually reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over the long term. Reducing the waste and inefficiency in Medicare and Medicaid will pay for most of this plan. It will slow the growth of healthcare costs for our families, our businesses, and our government. There will be a provision in this plan that requires us to come forward with more spending cuts if the savings we promised don't materialize.
And, of course, he delivered on none of those promises, not one. Instead, he gave us a broken, bloated system the Democrats are blaming Trump and the Republicans for. Of course, like I said, no moral compass. And it turns out that living in an alternate reality where you can just live and lie and blame everyone else but yourself, it does a number on your mental health. It does. Just listen to these experts who conclude that Democrats and their followers are quite literally crazy. Here it is.
Women are, especially liberal women, are not doing well. You see the highest rates of mental illness among single liberal women. And it's because it's a philosophy that pits women against their own bodies and against their own children. Feminism coaches women to reject their bodies, reject the natural realities, especially of their fertility, especially of their reproductive capacity.
Truth has become a right-wing concept. You cannot say it, because if you say it, you are considered right-wing. And to be right-wing is to be in league with the forces of evil. Education was turned from being the transmission of a culture down through the generations into the overturning of a culture on the basis that the culture was illegitimate, racist, colonialist, and all the rest of it. And we are where we are.
Yeah. There is a direct correlation between the rise of mental illness in this country and adolescent girls and their increasing liberal identification. 77% of conservative parents report good or excellent mental health of their kids. 77%. As opposed to just half of liberal parents. Liberal women are almost 3 times more likely to report loneliness multiple times a week than their conservative counterparts. 37% of conservative women report being satisfied with their life. Just 12%, 1 in 10 basically, of liberal women, because conservative women take reality for what it is, while liberal women live in a world of their own. One constructed by a feminist propaganda machine that seeks to make every situation one in which they are the victim. They're the victim. Liberal women are so delusional sometimes they find themselves defending sex predators just because someone on Instagram told them ICE agents are a bunch of kidnappers. Here's another example.
So you're reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking
No, we're pressing. No, we're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Insane. The Democrat Party really is a party of misery. They have lost the plot. That extends beyond the liberal white women. If you listen to Chuck Schumer, and I'm sorry if you do, it seems that the current party is now pro-fraud, pro-wasteful spending, and anti-transparency. Oh, Chuck.
If you look at the budget actually we're working on right now, and we'll have the T-HUD budget, transportation and HUD budget, we restore most of the cuts and even go higher than previous years on many of the programs that DOJ slashed. When I met our nominee for HUD secretary, then he was nominee, he talked a nice game, but he doesn't seem to have the clout to make those views prevail over the DOJ people, over the cut people. But we have worked really hard in the budget and gotten bipartisan support to increase these amounts and undo a lot of the cuts, which are essential.
Now, the new Democratic policy is pretty simple. Oppose everything and anything that President Trump does, even if that puts him on the side of discrimination, war, and fraud. The plan was, is, and always will be to silence dissent. Silence! Here's what I mean.
Part of what we're going to have to do is to start experimenting with new forms of journalism and how do we use social media in ways that reaffirm facts, separate facts from opinion. We want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of facts. That, I think, is one of the big tasks of social media. By the way, it will require some government, I believe, some government regulatory constraints around some of these business models in a way that's consistent with the First Amendment.
He doesn't care about the First Amendment. Regulatory constraint. Translation, silence. We will silence you. Funny the left keeps saying something about democracy dies in darkness, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. Democracy is far more likely to die from deceit peddled by the left than by any of the ways that people like Barack Obama keep predicting. Apparently, he doesn't understand that government regulatory constraints cannot be consistent with the First Amendment. Or just as likely, he does understand that, but he doesn't care. He's counting on his listeners to just swallow whatever he says whole. And who does he want those regulatory constraints used against? The usual crowd. Those he disagrees with, those he demonizes. Here he is again.
There is a difference between these platforms letting all voices be heard versus a business model that elevates the most hateful voices or the most polarizing voices or the most
Enough. Who decides what's hateful? Because I know he hates conservatives, he hates President Trump, he hates the MAGA movement, so you can figure out who he thinks should be silenced and not elevated. We'll have a lot more on this coming up. Good morning to you. This is The Steve Gruber Show. Again, let's ask the question. There's Barack Obama out there saying we need a new experiment in journalism. No, we don't. We just need real journalism. Who decides what is hateful? Who decides what constitutes inciting violence? Because I know that Obama was the great racial divider inside much of the left of violence over the last dozen years or more, but he's never been kicked off X or anywhere else. And that's fine. The American people should get to decide who they listen to. I believe in the First Amendment. He can say whatever he wants, but so can I. They need to practice discretion, however, and common sense when listening to people with large platforms. That's actually what makes X great. The people who can think for themselves can even contribute to community notes, fact-checking popular voices who make false claims. But that's not good enough, is it? Democrats need to keep conservatives from making good points at all. True, good points, like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's lesson on Denmark's treatment of Greenland. They definitely don't want you to hear this. Listen.
And annex all of Greenland, something that 85% of people living in Greenland oppose.
Well, again, and let's look back. Denmark has a terrible history with Greenlanders. There was forced sterilizations up until the 80s or the 90s. So all of a sudden, now that the U.S. has expressed an interest, there is this new interest. And again, the United States needs to be in control to prevent a war, and that we do not want to get dragged into someone else's war.
I agree with that. I don't want somebody else's war. Now, if we're up to Barack Obama, Secretary Bessent would never have the mic. Never. If we're up to other Democrats, they would just jail and prosecute every person who ever disagreed with them. Obviously, that's not news. It's what they tried to do with Trump. But listen to me closely. They will come after conservatives with a vengeance we've never seen before if they get the majority next year during the midterms. They will be drunk with power. And that's not fear-mongering. I'm just telling you exactly what they're already saying themselves. Listen to this Democrat consultant on the game plan. Here it is.
Yes. Blue tsunami means that Congress is going to haul Elon Musk, big balls, and a bunch of other people's ass in front and say, what crimes did you commit? And it's going to get really serious. And the same with Trump, because I believe, and this is just my opinion, that Trump and all of the bottom-feeding morons surrounding him and Elon Musk and all the bottom-feeding Klingeroners that surround him, I think they commit crimes every day. And I think to reconcile all of this is going to take hardcore, not integrity Democrats. You Democrats, you for our country. We are serious about this. We are prosecuting. We're going to uncover every document, every phone call, everything you did. We will be relentless about it. And that's the mindset they've got to have, because I think the electorate is going from, we've got to get him out, but also we want accountability.
There has to be accountability. You have to have a situation where there's...
Jim Acosta. Oh, and a special good morning to all you bottom-feeding morons. Just want to say hi. How you doing? That's a lot of hate right there. A lot of hate. And a real lack of self-awareness. To be talking about accountability when we still have yet to see anyone from that party held accountable for the Russian collusion hoax and 12 other scandals I could name. These are the same people who blast Trump for even mentioning that hoax, and a hoax it was. And they say he should just be focused on the future, not the past. Rules for thee, not for me. These people are unhinged, completely unmoored from the truth. And the comedian George Carlin explains it perfectly why that is. This is from the archives, but please enjoy.
When your identity is your ideology, congratulations, you've officially screwed yourself, because now it's not just an idea, now it's you. And when the idea gets challenged, you don't hear disagreement, you hear an attack. So what do? You build a bubble. A nice, soft, padded little bubble where everyone agrees with you, uses the same words, hates the same people, and claps at the exact right moments. And you will defend that bubble at all costs, even if it makes you sound incredibly stupid. Facts don't matter anymore. Logic's gone. Humor? Dead. Because admitting you're wrong would mean admitting you are wrong, and that's unacceptable. So you double down. Louder, angrier, dumber. And that's how you end up defending nonsense like it's sacred scripture, not because it's true, but because without it, you'd have to actually develop a personality.
You're going to want to replay that one a few times. This is the pattern plain as day. Lie, fail, blame, repeat. Lie, fail, blame, repeat. When confronted with reality, Democrats don't correct course. They double down. Silence dissent, smear anyone who refuses to play along. Truth is their greatest enemy because it exposes the rot beneath the rhetoric. A party that survives on deception can't tolerate accountability, debate, or a free marketplace of ideas. And that's why they fear President Trump, fear conservatives, and fear platforms where facts cannot be buried. They fear you. America doesn't need their misery, their censorship, or their moral emptiness. We need truth, courage, and leaders grounded in reality, no matter how loudly the left screams otherwise. Welcome to a truth platform. We're here for you every day. Strength isn't just about lifting weights, it's about immune strength, recovery, staying sharp as we age. And that's why I've partnered with Longevity Wellness. Their nutritional shake mix delivers protein, collagen, omega-3s, and gut-supportive nutrition all in one scoop. It tastes great, easy, and it's made for real people from real ingredients who want to live stronger and live longer. Easy to check out. Check it out now at longevitywellness.co/Gruber. One more time, that's longevitywellness.co/Gruber. If you use the promo code Gruber10, you're going to save 10% on your order today. So go there. We've been using this. In fact, we were skiing all weekend. The conditions are spectacular in Michigan. Although there's not a lot of snow out west, we've got it all in spades. Today it's 0 degrees at the studio and a little bit of snow still falling. More snow to come. My son, teenage son, drinks Longevity before and after his days on the ski hills. Keeps him strong. He loves it. Keeps him healthy. Keeps him going. LongevityWellness.co. Check it out. You're going to be glad you did. We've got a lot to cover here today, so stay with us. We'll take a break and be right back. It is The Steve Gruber Show.